gene therapy? It is an approach of treating diseases by either modifying the expression of an individual's genes or correction of an abnormal gene. And this can be accomplished by replacing a mutated gene that causes disease with a healthy copy of the gene, or then by inactivating or knocking out a mutated gene that is not functioning properly, introducing a new gene into the body to help fight a disease. Let's check into the history of gene therapy. In 1960, the concept of gene therapy was introduced, and in 1972, Fredman and Roblin authored a paper in Science titled Gene Therapy for Human Genetic Disease. In 1984, a retrovirus vector system was designed that could efficiently insert foreign genes into mammalian chromosomes. In 1990, the first approved gene therapy in the US took place on 14 September at the National Institute of Health under the direction of William French Anderson. In the same year, 4-year-old Ashanti De Silva became the first recipient of gene therapy. She suffered from adenosine deaminase deficiency (ADA), a rare immune system deficiency that is caused by a lack of an enzyme adenosine deaminase. The use of gene therapy to treat her was an important precedent in the field of genetic engineering. It showed that the use of gene therapy was a viable option in medical treatments and has opened the door for further research in the field of genetic engineering. In 1992, Dr. Claudio Borignan performed the first procedure for gene therapy using hematopoietic stem cells as vectors to deliver genes intended to correct hereditary diseases. Unfortunately, in 1999, Jesse Gelsinger was the first person publicly identified as having died in a clinical trial for gene therapy. In 2003, as a research team inserted genes into the brain for the first time, they used liposomes which, unlike viral vectors, are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier. And in 2006, successful use of gene therapy to treat 2 adult patients for X-linked chronic granulomatous disease. And in 2007, first gene therapy trial for inherited retinal disease was also performed. In 2010, an 18-year-old male patient in France with beta thalassemia major had been successfully treated. In 2011, medical community accepted that it can cure HIV, as in 2008, Gero Hatter has cured a man from HIV using gene therapy. From 2011 to 2015, research is still ongoing, and the number of diseases that has been treated successfully by gene therapy increased. Let's see the types of gene therapy. The first one is somatic gene therapy, and the next one is the germline gene therapy. And let's see the difference between somatic cell gene therapy and germline gene therapy. Let's see what's happening in somatic cell gene therapy. In somatic cell gene therapy, the therapeutic genes are transferred into any cell other than a gamete, germ cell or gametocyte. It is transferred into the somatic cells. Any such modification affect the individual patient only and are not inherited by the offsprings. Here, the genes are introduced into bone marrow cells, blood cells, skin cells, etc. and it will not be inherited later to the generation. And at present, all researchers are directed to correct genetic defects in somatic cells. Most focus on severe genetic disorders including immunodeficiencies, hemophilia, thalassemia, and cystic fibrosis, because such single gene disorders are good candidates for somatic cell therapy. So now let's see what's germline gene therapy. Here the therapeutic genes are transferred into the germ cells. For example, the genes are introduced into eggs and sperms. The germ cells are modified by the introduction of functional genes into their genomes. It is heritable and passed on to later generations. And for safety and ethical and technical reasons, it is not being attempted at present. There are 2 types of somatic cell gene therapy. The first one is ex vivo. Here the cells are modified outside the body and then transplanted back in again. It is called ex vivo because the cells are treated outside the body. The next one is in vivo. The genes are changed in cells when the cells are still in the body. And it is called in vivo because the genes are transferred to cells once the genes are inside the body. Here you can see the ex vivo and in vivo gene therapy mechanism. In this direct delivery, the therapeutic gene is packaged into a delivery vehicle such as a retrovirus and it is injected into the patient's target organ, for example, liver. And in cell-based delivery, the adult stem cells are isolated, propagated in the laboratory, and the therapeutic gene is packed into a delivery vehicle such as retrovirus and introduced into the cells. And later, the genetically modified cells are reintroduced into the patient. Example of ex vivo gene therapy. The first gene therapy, that is to correct the efficiency of enzyme adenosine deaminase, was performed on a 4-year-old girl, Ashanti De Silva, and she was suffering from SCID, that is severe combined immunodeficiency, and it is caused due to defect in gene coding for ADA, that is adenosine deaminase. Deoxyadenosine accumulate and destroys T lymphocytes, and this will disrupt immunity, and the person suffer from infectious diseases and die at young age. We can see how the gene therapy is conducted in this. The bacterium carrying plasmid with cloned normal human ADA gene and a genetically disabled retrovirus is taken, and the cloned ADA gene is incorporated into virus. The T cells with disabled ADA gene isolated from SCID patient, and the retrovirus infects the T cells and transfers ADA gene to the cells, and the cells are grown in culture to ensure that the ADA gene is active, and thus genetically altered cells are re-implanted to produce ADA. Next one is in vivo gene therapy. It can be the only possible option in patients where individual cells cannot be cultured in vitro in sufficient numbers, for example, in brain cells. In vivo gene transfer is necessary when cultured cells cannot be reimplanted in patients effectively. Let's see the examples of in vivo gene therapy. In patients with cystic fibrosis, a protein called cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator CFTR is absent due to a gene defect. In the absence of CFTR, chloride ions concentrate within the cells and it draws water from surroundings. And these lead to the accumulation of a sticky mucus in the respiratory tract and lungs. Here, adenovirus vector is used for the in vivo replacement of the defective gene. In this, you can see that the normal CFTR channel, the chloride ions moves outside of the cell. Whereas in mutant CFTR channel, it does not move the chloride ions and cause sticky mucus to build upon the outside of the cells, infecting the respiratory areas. Here, the normal human gene is cloned in bacterium. Normal gene is inserted into harmless virus, that is adenovirus. The virus is stripped into lung through a thin tube inserted in the nose, and the virus enters the lung cell nucleus, and the normal gene is inserted into the lung cell DNA by the virus, and the cells now with normal genes function normally. Monogenic diseases result from modification in a single gene occurring in all cells of the body, and it can be rectified by introducing a healthy gene. Examples of monogenic diseases are hemophilia and cystic fibrosis. And there are also multifactorial diseases like diabetes, cancer and AIDS. Here there is interaction in more than one gene, and it happens due to environmental factors, infections, diet and lack of exercises. Let's see the vectors in gene therapy. To transfer the desired gene into a target cell, a carrier is required. Such vehicles of gene delivery are known as vectors, and there are two main classes. There are viral vectors and non-viral vectors. Let's see the characteristics of the ideal vector. It should target the right cell, it should integrate the genes in the cells, and it should activate the gene, and it should, does not have any harmful side effects. And there is no universal vector that exists. Let's see what viral vectors are. The viruses introduce their genetic material to the host cell as part of their replication cycle, and they remove the viral DNA and using the virus as a vehicle to deliver the therapeutic DNA. The viruses used are altered to make them safe, although some risks are still existing when we are using this gene therapy. Here you can see the cells with original genes and the viral vector carrying the new gene and the new gene in the cell along with the original genes. For human gene therapy, we can use retrovirus, adenovirus, adeno-associated virus and herb simplex virus. The retrovirus vector system have the ability to integrate into the host genome and it can carry a DNA of size that is less than 3.4 kb and it will only infect the dividing cells. You can see the same here. Retrovirus being introduced into the unhealthy cells and their integration to the host cells. The next one is lentivirus vector system. It belongs to the subclass of retroviruses. The viral genome in the form of RNA is reverse transcribed when the virus enters the cells to produce DNA and which is then inserted in the genome at a random position via viral integrase enzyme. Here it is infecting the dividing and the non-dividing cells. Next one is adenovirus vector system. Adenoviral DNA does not integrate into the genome and is not replicated during the cell division. Humans commonly come in contact with the adenovirus and majority of patients have already developed neutralizing antibodies which can inactivate this virus. Here the target cells are the non-dividing and the dividing cells. Here you can see the mechanism of gene therapy using an adenovirus vector. Here the vector binds to a cell membrane. Vector is packaged into vesicle and the vesicle breaks down releasing the vector. The vector injects new gene into the nucleus and the cell makes protein using new genes. The next viral vector is the adeno-associated virus vector. It is a human virus. It is single-stranded. It is termed as AAV. And AAV enters the host cell and becomes double-stranded and gets integrated into the chromosome. AAV is not currently known to cause disease and consequently the virus causes a very mild immune response. Here the target cells are the non-dividing and the dividing cells. Then there is herb simplex viral vector which have natural tendency to infect a particular type of cell. The herb simplex virus is a human neurotropic virus and this is mostly examined for gene transfer in the nervous system. Here you can see the comparison of commonly used viral vectors in gene therapy, that is retrovirus, adenovirus, adeno-associated virus, lentivirus, herb simplex virus. Its key properties, they are infecting the dividing or non-dividing. And the chromosome, they are talking about the chromosome integration, its packaging capacity and what kind of gene materials are present. You can see the comparison of these viral vectors here. Let's see the advantages of using viral vectors. You can target specific types of cells. They are very good at targeting and entering cells and can be modified so that they can't replicate and destroy cells. And coming to the disadvantages, they can cause immune responses in patients and carry a limit, and they can only carry a limited amount of genetic material. Therefore, some genes may be too big to fit into some viruses. The non-viral vector system include pure DNA construct. Direct introduction of pure DNA construct into the target tissue is performed here. The efficiency of DNA uptake by cells and expression is rather low, and consequently large quantities of DNA have to be injected periodically. The other non-viral vector system is the DNA molecular conjugates. The commonly used synthetic conjugate is poly-L-lysine bound to specific target cell receptor, and the therapeutic DNA is then made to combine with the conjugate to form a complex. It avoids lysosomal breakdown of DNA. Next one is lipolexes, that is lipid DNA complexes, and this DNA construct surrounded by artificial lipid layer. Most of it gets degraded by lysosomes. And then the next one is human artificial chromosome, and it can carry a large DNA, that is with one or more therapeutic genes. Let's see the methods of gene delivery in gene therapy. The first one is GeneCon method. It employs a high pressure delivery system to shoot tissue with gold or tungsten particles that are coated with DNA. And the next one is microinjection. It is a process of using a glass micropipette to insert microscopic substances into a single living cell, normally performed under a specialized optical microscope setup called a micromanipulator. Next one is the chemical methods using detergent mixtures. Certain charged chemical compounds like calcium phosphates are mixed with functional cDNA of desired function, and the mixture is introduced near the vicinity of the recipient cells, and the chemicals disturb the cell membrane, widens the pore size, and allows the cDNA to pass through the cell. Lipofunction is used to inject genetic material into a cell by means of liposomes, and liposomes are artificial phospholipid vesicles used to deliver a variety of molecules including DNA into the cells. Let's see a few of the success cases of gene therapy. It cures blindness of inherited condition. Leber's congenital amaurosis. It's an inherited disease caused by an abnormality in a gene called RPE65. The condition appears at birth or in the first few months of life and causes progressive worse and loss of vision. Gene therapy reduces Parkinson's disease symptoms and has significantly improved the weakness of the symptoms such as tremors, motor skill problems, and rigidity. It is done with local anesthesia and used a harmless inactive virus, adenos-associated virus 2. Coming to the advantages of gene therapy, it has the potential to eliminate and prevent hereditary diseases such as cystic fibrosis and ADA-SCID. It is possible to cure for heart disease, AIDS, and cancer. It gives someone born with a genetic disease a chance to life. It can be used to eradicate diseases from the future generations. And going to the disadvantages, long-lasting therapy is not achieved by gene therapy. It is due to rapid dividing of cells, and the benefits of gene therapy is short-lived. Immune response to the transferred gene stimulates a potential risk to gene therapy. The disorders caused by defects in multiple genes cannot be treated effectively using gene therapy. Viruses used as vectors for gene transfer may cause toxicity, immune responses, and inflammatory reactions in the host. Also, it gave rise to many questions of ethical issues such as who will have access to therapy? Is it interfering with God's plan? Should people be allowed to use gene therapy to enhance basic human traits such as height, intelligence, etc.? And is it alright to use the therapy in the prenatal stage of development in babies? In conclusion, we can say that gene therapy is the permanent solution for genetic diseases, but it has several complexities. At its current stage, it is not accessible to most people due to its high cost. And a breakthrough may come anytime, and a day may come when almost every disease will have a gene therapy. Gene therapy have the potential to revolutionize the practice of medicine. Let's see some more strategies in gene therapy. In that, gene augmentation therapy, that is GAT. In GAT, simple addition of functional alleles is used to treat inherited disorders caused by genetic deficiency of a gene product. Example, GAT has been applied to autosomal recessive disorders. Dominantly inherited disorders are much less amenable to GAT. Next is the targeted killing of specific cells, and this approach is popular in cancer gene therapies. It involves utilizing genes encoding toxic compounds or the suicide genes or prodrugs, that is reagents which confer sensitivity to subsequent treatment with the drug, to kill the transfected or transformed cells. Next is the targeted inhibition of gene expression, and this is to block the expression of any diseased gene or a new gene expressing a protein which is harmful for a cell. This is particularly suitable for treating infectious diseases and some cancers. Next is the targeted gene mutation correction. It is used to correct a defective gene to restore its function, which can be done at genetic level by homologous recombination or at mRNA level by using a therapeutic ribozymes or therapeutic RNA editing. There are two approaches in gene therapy, that is classical gene therapy and non-classical gene therapy. In classical gene therapy, it involves a therapeutic gene delivery and their optimum expression once inside the target cell. And the foreign genes carry out the functions such as to produce a product that the patient lacks, produces toxins so that disease cell is killed, activates cells of the immune system so as to help in killing of diseased cells, And in the non-classical gene therapy, it involves the inhibition of expression of genes associated with pathogenesis or to correct a genetic defect and restore the normal gene expression. In the disease cancer, the targeted cells are tumor cells, antigen-presenting cells, blood progenitor cells, T cells, fibroblasts, and muscle cells. An inherited monogenic disease, the targeted cells are lung epithelial cells, macrophages, T cells, blood progenitor cells, hepatocytes, muscle cells. It's a disease like cystic fibrosis. And in infectious disease, the target cells are T cells, antigen presenting cells, muscle cells. And in cardiovascular disease, endothelial cells, muscle cells. And in rheumatoid arthritis, it's synovial lining cells.